Hey, what is going on, guys? DK. Back at you with another video here for a final look at the Week 7 NFL main slate on Draftkings. Before we get in the video, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is DK. I make daily videos and live stream for NBA and NFL slates on Draftkings. If you guys are interested in NBA DFS, I have a video breaking down the main slate for Saturday. Make sure to check that one out. If you guys are unable to watch these videos, I also upload on Apple Podcasts. I have a link down below. It's called the DKDFS Show. If you're interested in signing up for premium content, I offer a few different packages on Patreon.com, NFL package, NBA package, and an esports package. And I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Prize Picks. So, for Prize Picks, a couple different ways you can play for NFL. First way is taking over/under on fantasy points. So, for example, Aaron Rodgers projected for 20 fantasy points. Do you either like the under or the over? Or you can go over a single stat and take over/under in like passing yards, rushing yards, receiving yards, receptions. Again, a ton of different ways you can play. You can also mix and match sports. They do have college football. They have, again, NBA, baseball, PGA. So, yeah, if you guys want to try it out, sign up using my code DKDFS. That is DKDFS, all one word. You get a 100% match up to $100. So you deposit using my code, $100. You get a free $100 to play with. And finally, I want to thank you guys again for all of your support on the NBA videos, the NFL videos, the live streams. We've been hitting about 300 concurrent viewers on all these live streams. So really do appreciate all you guys' support. Make sure if you enjoy to hit the like button. Try to aim for 100 on this one. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and let me know how you guys did on the Thursday Night Football show and slate. But all right, so yeah, let's hop into this video really quick, though. Since we didn't do an early look, let's look back at my lineup here from last main slate. And last main slate was this close to a takedown, but no complaints here. 7x my money here, third place in again, this is a $100 single entry tournament. But I used a Patrick Mahomes stack with McCole Hardman, Travis Kelce. And then I brought it back with Ricky Seals-Jones. I was very high in both those tight ends last week. So, yeah, I used both tight ends, two tight ends in my GBP lineup. Sterling Shepard, who was solid. Keenan Allen, a little bit underwhelming. That game was just weird, right? That was super weird. You had every single running back score for Baltimore besides Lamar. The Chargers couldn't move the ball. That was supposed to be like the game of the week. So that was a very underwhelming game. And then my running backs, I had Henderson, and I pivoted off of Hunt to Mixon. He was a guy that I knew Hunt was going to be very popular. Hunt was about 60% owned in this tournament, which I thought was a little high for GPPs. So I went to the much lower owned Mixon, who did really, really well there. And then I used the Colts D against the Texans. So overall, it was a really, really solid week for me. Hoping to keep it going. It's been, main slate so far for me have been really good. Cashing basically every single week in GPPs. So, yeah, let's talk about this one. Let's talk about some over-unders, some higher total games. So the Kansas City-Tennessee game is definitely the one that stands out. Obviously, a 57.5 over-under. Like, you look at that game compared to the other games in the slate, like, all the other games like sub-4 or sub-50, Lions and Rams is 50.5. But, yeah, that's the game that, Vegas projects to be the highest scoring by far. And yeah, guys, for the next about week or so, no green screens. I'll be in the top left corner of your screens. I'll be home for about a week or so. So just update there for anyone that does care. But all right, let's start off with quarterback. And at the top, we have Kyler Murray and Patrick Mahomes. No surprise, they're at the top here. I like them both. I think Kyler Murray might go a little bit low owned. He's been pretty low owned last few weeks. Now the concern here for Kyler is the rushing, right? He hasn't been rushing, or he hasn't been getting a ton of running yards. Now he did have 7 attempts last couple of weeks each, but he is a guy that can go get you 30, 40 yards in the ground. They're going up against a really good matchup with Houston. There is some blowout risk, but like the thing with Arizona is they're not going to really slow down, right? If they're off to a big lead, I don't think they're going to slow down and pound James Conner like 30 times, right? They're not going to just run the ball when they get off to a massive lead. I think they're still going to air it out, kind of like Buffalo. So I think there's less worry for the passing attack, even if the game does blow out, because I still think they're going to air it out. So yeah, I think Kyler Murray goes under owned this week. To no one's surprise, you guys watching this video, I like Kyler again. Patrick Mahomes at 8-4, I think is going to be pretty popular in tournaments, but again, it's for good reason. It's the highest total by far of the week. Tennessee defense has not been great. And, yeah, I just think Patrick Mahomes is very safe. You have a couple guys you can definitely pair him with as well for tournaments. So really do like Mahomes there. Let's see. Scrolling down a little bit more, so Lamar Jackson, if you guys watched that game last game, he played really well. You got really unlucky if you did play Lamar. He was, probably the optimal play at quarterback last week. Just got insanely unlucky with the touchdown merits. Again, the positive with Lamar here is just he's going to give you a very high floor with his rushing ability. And, I think it's a solid matchup against the Bengals. I do like Lamar a good amount. A Matt Stafford revenge game going up against my Detroit Lions, who are probably going to get killed. I think he's firmly in play. Again, the Rams are kind of like the Cardinals in the fact that they're just going to throw the ball a ton. Now, Jalen Hurts, he's kind of been getting there in garbage time a lot recently, but he's still getting there. And, like Lamar Jackson, he brings that floor with his rushing ability. Now, I would think Lamar's probably going to get a lot more ownership than Jalen Hurts. But, yeah, I think Hurts is firmly in play as well. He hasn't looked as good recently. But, again, he brings that rushing upside with him. I don't think if you play Jalen Hurts, you have to pair him with one of his receiving targets because they do spread the ball out. But, both Lamar and Jalen Hurts are solid options. Again, Tannehill in this very high total game, I think is firmly in play. If they do fall behind early, I'm not sure they're going to continue to ground and pound Derrick Henry. We've seen it a couple times last year where Tennessee kind of phases Derrick Henry out of the offense if they do fall behind, by a few scores. So that could happen here. We haven't really seen a big game from Tannehill yet, but this is a game where you could see Tannehill have to air it out like 40, 50 times. So I'm intrigued by Tannehill there in the mid-range. Let's see, what else? You guys saw how awful Daniel Jones looked last week, but this Giants defense really can't stop anyone. So they're going to be playing from behind most weeks. He does bring a rushing floor, even though he hasn't done much on the ground last couple of games. So as a bounce-back candidate, low owned for tournaments, I think he's at least worth a look. And then, you can say the same thing about Taylor Heineke, right? Not the most talented quarterback, but they're going to be playing from behind almost guaranteed. He's going to have to air it out. So, sure, those two, I think, are at least viable, cheap options. Let's move on to running back. So, Derrick Henry's at 9-2. I think he's going to get ownership. My only concern here, obviously, is what? It's like a 7.5-point spread, right? 4.5. Never mind. Maybe 57.5. That's what I was thinking. But, only 4.5-point spread. But there's still a chance, again, if Kansas City gets off to an early lead, maybe like 14-0 or 17-0, they phase him out a little bit. But, it's Derrick Henry. They're just feeding this guy so many times. So if this game stays close or it's like a neutral game script, Derrick Henry's probably going to push for 30-plus touches. So, once again, he is definitely in play at the top. I would say the only risk here is if Tennessee falls behind big early, then you might see Derrick Henry phase out. They might see him phase out of the offense a little bit. And Christian McCaffrey out. Saquon Barkley out. Henderson at 6.6K. Still got a majority of the touches there for the Rams. He had 21 carries on the ground, 2 catches on 3 targets. This is a really good matchup against Detroit. I think he's one of the safer plays in the mid-range. Joe Mixon, the matchup isn't as good, but he's still played basically the entire game last game. When it was competitive, he basically sat the entire fourth quarter. He had 18 carries, 94 yards, 5 catches, and 6 targets. So I do have interest in Mixon. Again, the matchup isn't as good, but I still think he's safe and going to get a majority of the touches there for the Bengals. And don't mind Leonard Fournette. Matchup against the Bears, not necessarily the best, but even with the other backs healthy here for Tampa Bay, Fournette's still getting a ton of looks. So another, there's a lot of guys in the mid-range that are pretty safe options. Now, Cordarrelle Patterson at 6.3K, I'm probably not going to do it. I get it, though. 7, 6, 9 targets. I get it. He's been phenomenal. But, I wish it would just, play in the Atlanta will play the early game every week, so we don't have to deal with Cordarrelle Patterson nuking the slate on the main slate. Let's see. What else? Chuba Hubbard's at 6.1K. Again, no Christian McCaffrey. He's going to be out the majority of the time. He's probably going to get somewhere around 20 touches in the ground. I think a relatively safe option. Plus, should be a good game script. You would think Carolina's been playing from ahead in this one. DeAndre Swift, they're massive dogs, but that's actually kind of a positive for him since he's a great pass-catching running back. And they're targeting him a ton, 7, 6, 6, and 7 targets. So I think Swift is firmly in play for tournaments. Let's see. What else? So, Darrell Williams at 5.8K. He did get a majority of the touches, 21 carries, 3 catches, and 4 targets. McKinnon got mixed in a little bit, but I think Williams is very safe in a super high total game, is involved in the passing game as well. So, no issue paying that salary for me for Darrell Williams. And then below that, there's not a ton of smash value running backs. Edmonds and Connor are going to mix in together. Connor's going to be early down back. Edmonds, the passing down back. They're both just tournament plays for me. Damian Williams is back, so like I'm not sure what the snap distribution is going to be for him and Herbert. So it might be one where I just kind of take a wait and see there. Devontae Booker at 5.5 is in play, where he played, I think it was 70% of snaps. 71% of snaps last game with Saquon Barkley out, and if the game stays close, he can push for 20+ touches. Is involved in the pass game too, so fair play there in the mid-range. I just don't trust the Miami backs right now. If you want to roll the dice on one of them in GBP, sure, but it's probably not for me. I will mention J.D. McKissic at 5K because this is a game Washington is probably playing from behind, and you saw what happened against Kansas City when they fell behind big, 8 catches on 10 targets, right? So it's not really a cash game play, but he's game flow dependent. So if Washington falls behind, he's going to be way more valuable, right? So, and you would think they're going to be playing from behind here on the road against Green Bay. So I think McKissic's a sneaky tournament play. And then, yeah, we'll get here. Let's go to Baltimore. Latavius Murray's out, but like, do I trust this? Like, I don't know what they're going to do here. Like, Tyson Williams has been inactive a couple games. Le'Veon Bell might get the start, but it's still Freeman. I'm guessing Tyson Williams is going to come up from the practice squad too. So it might be a 3-headed monster. If you want to go to one of these cheap options in tournaments, sure, but like it might just be a 3-way split there. Again, I'm assuming Tyson Williams gets called up. All right, moving on to wide receivers. So Devontae Adams at 8.9K. I think a very safe play at the top. He had a subpar game last game. I'm not super worried about it. He's just a guy that's going to get close to double-digit targets every single week. And Washington defense has not been great this year, so Devontae Adams is definitely in play. Tyreek Hill, more of a GP-only play for me. The floor is relatively low for him, and he's also dealing with a little bit of an injury, but the ceiling is massive. He has 40, 50 fantasy point ceiling and almost a 60 over-under game. I think Tyreek Hill looks like a really good tournament play. Cooper Kupp, I think playable in both formats just because the amount of targets he's getting, the floor plus ceiling he presents. Again, this is a game that the Rams should put up a ton of points, so I think Cooper Kupp very, very safe, even at that price point. Again, Hopkins, more of a tournament play. He's been up and down. The targets haven't been great for him, but this is a great matchup against Houston, as I said. I think DJ Moore is very safe at 7.1K. I mean, again, targets, right? He's getting like 10+ targets a game. This is a solid matchup here against the Giants, so I think DJ Moore looks like a very, very safe play. McLaurin, definitely viable for tournaments, right? A game they're probably playing from behind. You can make the argument for him in cash games, too. Calvin Ridley, like this is really cheap price point for Calvin Ridley. You would think that the breakout game is going to come soon. Maybe it's tomorrow here against Miami. I mean, the targets are there. We just haven't really seen the big game from Ridley. So if you want to try to buy low on Calvin Ridley, I have no issue with that. I don't mind that at all. The Tampa Bay wide receivers, Evans and Godwin, definitely viable here. We know Tampa Bay is also a team that likes to air it out. There is no Antonio Brown, so we'll get to here. Let's go to Tampa Bay really quick. So should be Tyler Johnson as the number 3 wide receiver here, filling in for Antonio Brown. He's at the flat min price. I think he's interesting value. And then we got Evans, Godwin, both definitely viable at their respective prices. Let's see. Scrolling down a little bit more. A.J. Brown at 6.3. So, again, super high total game. He'll probably be good to go. Obviously, you guys know he was dealing with the Chipotle illness. But, yeah, at this price point, in this type of game environment, you can see a pretty big game from A.J. Brown. So, I like this price. Again, I think you're definitely going to want at least some exposure to that game. Julio Jones, monitor this one. This is pretty big. He's questionable. He says he feels good. But we'll have to see if he's out, then probably a slight boost to a guy like Westbrook. Here we'll go to Tennessee really quick. We already have Chester Rogers out, so I'm assuming Westbrook's going to play more out of the slot because when Rogers went down earlier in that game, it was Westbrook that played a majority of the snaps in the slot. So if Julio Jones is out, then maybe it's a guy like Marcus Johnson that fills in. So there's definitely some potential value here for Tennessee. Again, keep an eye on that Julio Jones news. All right, let's go down a little bit more. Cooks is really the only guy I feel confident in for Houston. If you're stacking Arizona, want to bring back, Cooks is probably the only guy, again, I would look to there. Sterling Shepard, keep an eye on this. Do the Giants just have everyone questionable again? Everyone on their roster is questionable. Just look at look at this. Look, what? So, yeah, Shepard, if he plays, I think he's a very, very safe play. He played on like 90+% of the snaps. Daniel Jones loves going to slot receiver, right? When Shepard was out a couple games, it was Tony. And when Shepard came back, he had a massive game, right? 14 targets, 10 catches. So if Shepard plays, I'd like him a good amount. If he doesn't, we'll just have to see who's going to be available, right? It's just too hard if every single person questionable for the Giants. So, yeah, that's one where we could have some value, especially if Shepard gets ruled out for those Giants wide receivers. Let's see. Scrolling down a little bit more, now we're kind of into the cheaper options. You know, the Cincinnati wide receivers in a relatively high total game, I'm fine with any of those guys, in Higgins, in Boyd, and Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase probably the guy that has the most upside. Rondale Moore here for Arizona. The snaps are slowly ticking up. Now, the targets haven't been amazing on him, but he does have that big play upside, and he's not super expensive. So, probably not a cash game play, but for GPPs, I'm perfectly fine taking a shot on Rondale Moore. I think Hardman's a relatively safe, cheap option just because, again, the game environment plus the fact that he has kind of established himself as the #2 wide receiver behind Tyreek Hill. He's playing a good amount of snaps, 12 and 5 targets last couple games. That's definitely not bad. So I like Hardman for value. The Lions receivers in a game, it's the second highest total game of the week. But again, they should be playing from behind. Raymond, St. Brown, Hodge all played big snaps last week. So I think all three are definitely viable. Now, like, you're not going to feel great about any of them, but like the Lions are going to be playing from behind almost guaranteed and have to air it out. So any of the main receivers there, Raymond, St. Brown, or Hodge, I think are viable tournament options for the Lions. Let's see. Below that, not much I love. Trying to think, is there anyone else? And we have more of those Giants receivers. Like if Slayton plays, he becomes potential value there. I don't know if I trust a De'Ami Brown for Washington. Van Jefferson, he's played on like 60+% of the snaps last couple games. I think he's fair value at 3.5K. And then where is, Bateman. So Bateman's at 3.4K. He had 4 catches and 6 targets in his first game. And the positive here is he actually played the second most amount of snaps, 65% of the snaps. Now, we know Baltimore's definitely a run-first team. But #2 wide receiver at only 3.4K in a relatively good matchup, I definitely have some interest in Rashad Bateman for value. And finally, tight end. So, Travis Kelce, don't think we had to spend a ton of time here. Very safe play, super high total game, going to get around 10 targets a week. I think he's one of the best plays if you can afford him. Waller popped up in the injury report. He got downgraded to questionable, so monitor that one. But yeah, I think I would lean Kelce over Waller. Mark Andrews, well, the touchdown regression finally went his way. As I said, he went like, 4 or 5 games without a touchdown, and now the last 2 games he's had 3 touchdowns. So again, red zone target, 6K, definitely viable. Kyle Pitts, I knew it was going to happen already at the big game on the early game. Was it like the London game? So he wasn't on the main slate because, Kyle Pitts lost me a lot of money in the first few weeks. But a 5.9K, you know, I have no issue going to that price point for him. Mike Gesicki's been getting a ton of targets. Keep an eye on Devontae Parker news. Devontae Parker's in, maybe a slight downgrade to Mike Gesicki, but he's still lining out wide a lot. And again, getting a lot of targets here. Relatively decent matchup too. Goddard, so there's no more Zach Ertz, so he is, you know, clearly their top tight end now. At only 4.6K, I think he does get a pretty big boost without Ertz because Jack Stallmore out there for blocking. So I do have some interest in Goddard too as kind of a contrarian tight end play. I'm probably going to take a wait and see on Zach Ertz. If you want to roll the dice on him in GBPs, I don't hate it. He is a cheap target for Arizona. It's just a matter of, you know, all right, how much work he's going to get in his first game. So it's not something you're going to feel super confident in, but the price point's cheap. So again, if you want to roll the dice on him in tournaments, I have no issue with that. And then finally, Ricky Seals-Jones. I think he's just super safe, right? Without Logan Thomas, he's basically just playing the entire game. 9 and 6 targets last couple games. Should be playing from behind. I think one of the safer cheap tight end plays. And then, I think that's really going to do it for the video today, guys. So if you have been enjoying the content, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And again, let me know how you guys did Thursday Night Football. Let me know who's going to win you a bunch of money tomorrow. I will be doing a YouTube live stream tomorrow, so make sure to check that one out, guys. General Q&A, so I'll be answering a ton of questions. But thanks again. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow in the live stream.